let's start this segment off just like we started the Air Jordan segment off. In unison, the best Air Max personal. 1, 2, 3.
Air Max
95. Wait, what? What's up, everybody? It's Joe La Puma. You are watching the Complex Sneaker Show. As always, I'm here with my two co-hosts, my two friends. First off, to my right, Mr. Matt Welty.
Yeehaw.
Big energy today.
Oh, wow.
We're feeling energetic.
Okay,
are you not energetic, Joe?
I'm energetic, a little jet lagged, but I'm still,
your levels are, I'm questioning your levels right now. Your levels of commitment
nothing
to
to
this
question.
thing.
To my left, Mr. Brendan Dunne. A man of many sports jerseys who doesn't play that many sports.
Can we say any sports? I don't play any sports. Go ahead and say
You're an
it.
athlete.
Yeah, but that's not really a sport you play.
Yeah, okay.
It's meditation for me.
What are we going to get in today? I know what we're going to get into, but it feels like there's a bunch of stuff going on.
I want to go pure sneaker mode with a few things. I want to talk some SB tweaks, and also I want to leak something. Tweaks and leaks.
Okay.
I got a leak for you for next year. SB or Max 95s. I want to talk Yeezys. I know y'all are sick of hearing me talk about Yeezys, but Yeezys hit outlets at 50% off. That's a big deal.
We're going to talk about Anthony Edwards.
Killer Cam.
Yep, commercial and all the beef it caused.
Going to get right into a mini recap of my Korea trip with Kith and a shoe that stood out on the streets that maybe one of my co-hosts is not a fan of.
Also, let's do some debating.
Yes.
We did a big debate last week. Best Air Jordans. Let's talk best Air Maxes.
Well,
That
yes.
feels like fun, right?
Let's do it.
You were globe-trotting
Yes.
just a few days ago. How are you feeling? How are you awake?
Feeling okay. Sleep schedule is okay. A little abnormal, but not too much. Went to Korea. Kith store opening.
Yeah, you had to
Another
be there.
one. Great to be in Korea. Great to celebrate another store opening for our boy.
Ronnie Feig.
Yeah, he sees you guys now. He's,
Yeah.
you can say your boy.
Did you get the
I haven't talked to him in a minute.
Did you
but
get the
sure.
bulgogi popping?
We had a great Korean barbecue lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a great experience.
One thing you ask me when I go on trips, you always want sort of a scene report. And did a particular shoe stick out while I was enjoying myself somewhere across the globe?
I do ask that.
For you, when you were in Korea, was there any shoe that you felt like was the exclamation mark for the trip or something super salient that you weren't expecting?
There was. Hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down. If On footwear is the big Delray Beach signature sneaker, Korea, there was one shoe that kept popping up and every time looked fresh.
The shoe that characterized the trip.
Nike, Bode, Astro Grabber. Black.
Mm-hmm.
The black
leather pair,
colorway.
Yeah. Wealthy, I
Every-
know you're upset by this.
Not upset.
Every
I just
fit.
just not my favorite model.
Every fit. And I saw a ton of them. Must have seen, I was there for 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I must have seen 10 different.
And that's surprising because it's a relatively limited shoe.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that it would be so out there like that.
I like the white pair much more than the black pair.
Yeah,
I
you've
think
been
our-
riding for the white one the
I think
whole time.
our friend Tyler Mansour did like a dip dye
Yes, he did.
version of it. And I think
As he's wont to do.
that shoe looks better. I just don't like all black leather shoes. They're like
Well, it's not all
blowtorch like
black,
that.
but-
Well, mostly black and white. Looks like a school uniform shoe.
That shoe kept popping up. Every fit, to his point, was like black from head to toe.
Mhm.
But it's just one, I think I texted you like, this is the big shoe out here.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself like, oh man, I'm feeling like influence maybe. But
You might have to scoop a pair.
no,
up.
it wouldn't
I
look
feel
the
like-
same.
I
It
feel like
wouldn't
the-
look the same
the,
on.
the proportions.
He's right.
The calves are gonna crush him.
He's right.
Yeah.
He's right.
One of those shoes that I'll say I think looks better in small sizes. I think my girlfriend is doing them right. I got a pair for her.
Yes.
I'm still more of a field general guy, and I'm comfortable with that dichotomy. Astro Grabber, what is it? What? Field General son or Astro Grabber daughter. Welty, I know, again, I'm not trying to paint you as a hater, but I feel like that whole Nike slim shoe silhouette, old school turf football is something you're not feeling at all.
When it comes to those sort of models, I just rather go Adidas, and I feel like the same way because I know Puma has like tried to make waves into the lane where people are wearing the Palermo now, and I just think that when it comes to that, Adidas did it best. So,
Do you like the Palermo?
No.
Oh.
I just like
It's
I'm
a
saying.
Puma
I
shoe.
just
What did
it's
you
not
expect?
a
it's not a bad
it's-
shoe,
yeah,
but
it's
when I
not.
say, hey, when it comes to that stuff, may as well stick with the OG of it all.
And I'll say too, not to go on a field general tangent, although God knows I could. It's interesting because I thought Nike was really going to pump that shoe super hard and we were going to see it everywhere, but it hasn't been that visible to me in North America. I heard they're selling well elsewhere, but I guess it really didn't.
It's actually funny. There was a video that Size did in Manchester, England, and they went on the streets and they were like, if you can name what sport this shoe was made for, we'll give you a free pair.
With the field generals.
With the field general. And it's made for American football.
Yeah.
And people in the UK are just like...
The British mind cannot comprehend.
Yeah. Nope.
Nobody got it, right?
Nope, nobody got it.
But yeah, that was the shoe that kind of encapsulated the trip.
But you're not buying a pair.
No, because he's right.
It's just not your your thing.
Not your zone.
No, but it looked good. I'm wondering if I was like sniping pictures a little bit of them. Maybe we blur out and put them in.
Yeah.
I was sniping some fits on the low of the people.
Taking notes?
Yeah. But maybe we'll blur out the faces.
One of the wildest things I saw recently over the weekend, I was walking down the street and I saw a fake pair of Nike Off-White Air Max 270s.
Off-White Air Max 2. So what did they look
so
like?
real fake pair.
Yeah.
Real fake.
Yeah. Like taking it back to the good old days of like when fake shoes
restoring the feeling
were fake shoes. It was a black pair and it had the white care of Off-White writing with the, I think, an orange tag on the outside, and it was just like
super Canal Street. You're not fooling anybody with those.
It's funny. I saw a pair of the MoMAs, the black and chrome are the MoMAs, right?
You like that shoe, right?
Love that shoe.
Do you have those?
No.
One of my favorites.
To me, the best one. With the socks.
Big Chris Vidal shoe.
Yep. You told a story about that shoe on
here. But I saw someone like casually wearing that in New York, like just on like a long walk, and I'm like, damn, just to have a shoe like that, just like walking, I don't know. I'm not going to say that they're fake, but you know, you're second guessing it now.
It's not the shoes you're going to take a stroll.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Exactly. But to me, those are the best Air Forces he's done, which we've talked about. Why? Which one do you like?
In the museum series.
In the museum set. Okay. I thought you were saying the best Air Forces he's done overall, which I would put Louis Vuitton over that.
Yeah.
The best museum Air Forces he did. No, I'll go with you on the MoMAs.
And then probably the second is the MCAs.
Yeah. Oh, I like the Boston one. No.
Wait, Boston?
No, sorry. I like the green ones, the Brooklyn ones that aren't actually the Brooklyn ones, which I famously wore in Oregon.
The Brooklyn ones, not the best quality. Unless you.
I said it.
That's what you said.
You're not going to ride for the Complex Con exclusive?
The white one?
Put those. Yeah. I love those, and
people love those,
and I'm happy that I sold them for a good chunk of money, although probably not as much as I could have had I waited. But it's weird. It's the same look, it's the same aesthetic, but it's almost not in the museum series because it's...
I think it's interesting because that one obviously was the first out of all of them, and I don't think people knew how special that shoe, even though it was a Complex Con exclusive, I don't think people really knew how special that shoe was going to be at the time. And here and there, I'll see people who had gotten the shoe back then and just wore them regularly. Like, I want to say like dogged them out, but it's a white Air Force One, so it's like...
And it was among a lot of white Air Force Ones releasing that year.
Yeah, so... But then that shoe ended up being like propelled to a Grail status. I know, was it T.I. was talking about white Air Force Ones?
Yes.
And how he can wear them once, but might wear them like 1.5 times if the one time isn't a real wear. But if they get creased during the one time, they're done.
Exactly. I like that kind of nuance because he posted in
This is boy math right here.
2022 or something like one and done. And then I asked him about it and he said, listen, if...
Put an asterisk on it.
Maybe it's a day and a half. Maybe it's 2 wears. And then I asked him like creased toe box. He almost threw me out of the store when I asked him that.
This is on the most recent episode of Sneaker Shop.
Yeah.
I feel like you could toss on a pair... Maybe go get a sandwich and come back, and then just chill at the house for the rest of the day. And you're like, that wasn't a real wear.
Didn't count.
Just like
that
this.
Didn't count. Yeah.
I could see it.
Okay, so T.I., a son of Atlanta. Can we talk about the sneaker drama surrounding another son of Atlanta?
Hold on.
Follow me.
Sneaker drama, son of Atlanta.
Oh, Anthony Edwards.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. This was a fun moment over the weekend.
The best part, I know that we're going to talk about the disses and stuff. The best part, he said, hi, it's me again. It's how I be feeling sometimes. Remember? I'm back. You know, I had the Korean, the flights. I was quiet for a little bit, okay? I was quiet. 30 hours of traveling, but I'm back in the office. Like Cam said, hi, I'm back.
I know exactly what you're talking about, my friend.
That was the best.
Now, Adidas's ads for the AE1 have been awesome. The latest one was Anthony Edwards keeping the receipts. There's a receipt machine in the video where it's printing out slips of paper featuring things people have said about him.
Can I interject?
Please.
Again, let's put a counter of how many times I say I was in Korea. I was in Korea. The ad came out.
Yeah.
And what I said, some of my favorite content ideas is when it's a phrase or something that is talked about nonstop every time in casual conversation.
Yeah.
I kept the receipts.
Yeah.
Deion Sanders, I kept the receipts. We've never seen a commercial where there's receipts.
Yeah, literal receipts.
To me, that is some of the best content where it's right in you're in the conference room and you're like, what are we gonna do for this? What about like keeping receipts? And then it's like, let's literally just take a receipt machine and keep the receipts. To me, that's some of the best content because you're not overthinking it, and we've never seen a commercial like that. That achieves so much and so simple.
And
simple
the timing
and
of it was awesome.
Yes.
Because it came out right after the Timberwolves lost in the Western Conference Finals. And I feel like that's the wrong time to be braggadocious, but it was kind of like, okay, we'll see. This thing is going to keep moving. This guy has a lot more to do, a lot more to prove, hopefully in the sneaker space as well. So one of these receipts is Cameron saying, he's a star to me. He's not a superstar yet. It's like not necessarily a diss. A lot of the things that are featured in the ad aren't really that
But if
negative.
you talk about Cam, he's going to say something back.
Yes.
But also he is a superstar.
Okay.
Anthony Edwards is a superstar.
And Anthony Edwards' response in the ad is F buddy.
Yeah, which was
Tame?
no.
Okay.
No, that's not.
He's saying F him, right?
Yeah.
No, that's not tame.
Yeah.
This is also like, I think it's safe to say though this is like his first year being a superstar.
Okay.
In the league.
Okay.
Fair, but definitely a superstar.
I don't really watch enough basketball to say nobody comes here to listen to me talk about basketball.
Yeah,
but
I think
the ads are great. The content.
Mike Dunleavy over. No, Mike. Just kidding.
Put in the Dunne and Dunleavy.
Exactly.
The ads are great. The content is great, but also like the aesthetic of them all, where they kind of have like that peach. Sky to the back. My favorite personally was the low top one where he has the Saab convertible a la paid in full, and he just has his feet kicked out where he's like dropping the top on the shoes and the car at the same time. I just like it.
Do you have the lyrics?
So,
because
I have some of the bars. So, Cam,
when you and I were texting in the morning,
yeah.
we heard the Adidas part, we heard the Kanye part. It was early in the morning. I kind of went away from it, and then I like finished it, and I'm like, oh, he rattled off every Adidas basketball signee in the past like decade or more
whose career went left,
right?
And saying, Adidas, I'm blaming you, this is your fault. I took this as Cam, first of all, having fun with it. I don't think that these are legitimate jabs he's taking at Anthony Edwards in particular. I think it's a fun moment of back and forth, but he really went in on Adidas more than Ant to me.
He did. And also those two I could see, like I keep saying, I said it all day yesterday, I could see Ant going on, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, also once again, shout out our friend of the program, KO from ATATF. He found a clip of Anthony Edwards rapping and posted it, and he goes, what's the chance that he actually releases a diss song back to Cameron?
I mean, Anthony Edwards' brother is an actual rapper. I was there at the launch of the AE1 sneaker in Atlanta last year, and his brother I was not in the cypher, but I was adjacent to it, and his brother was on stage rapping, so it's definitely in the family, so maybe we'll get a legitimate response back. But no, I love this moment. I love anytime sneaker drama bubbles up like this. Although, like I said, I don't think it's legitimate drama. Is this a good look for Adidas?
I think
the shoe is in the conversation like this.
More shoe sales for them.
I think it's fine.
Even the parts where Cameron is saying, if Anthony Edwards does something you don't like, you'll drop him just like you did Kanye West. Him saying, "Are you wearing those? Hell no!" All that stuff.
I think it's okay.
Okay,
still
overall,
Wale's wearing them.
Spirit of like rap.
Okay.
Battle, you know?
Okay.
Hey, and look at it this way. No one's talked about an Adidas basketball shoe for like the past 10 years. So,
and these days we're talking about them regularly, week after week on here.
Real quick, in the spirit of you just said Wale's wearing them, another shoe Wale's been wearing.
Tell me.
From back in the day. I wonder if he got his pair. Should I FaceTime him?
See if he answers it again.
Hold on, 3 in a row. Wait, should I?
Verizon to sponsor this segment or two?
Hold on. Should I 3 in a row? But you know what we're talking about.
Joe FaceTiming people who don't.
You know what we're talking about.
I don't know.
Lightning
what we're talking
17s.
About. Lightning 17s.
Lightning 17s.
Another
Let's
weekly
see.
segment.
Weekly segment. 0 for 3. My boy. No, ego. He's gonna hate me. Lightning 17s. Got the Lightning
Lineups.
17s.
People are going crazy for
You
them.
got them?
Yes,
You gonna wear them?
I may.
You have to.
I may wear
Damn,
them.
it all starts with
Restore the
one. It all
feeling.
starts with the Futura dunks, and now you're all on the white shoe trend.
I wore the Action Bronsons, like I said in Bayshore
Yep.
the whole weekend. But why do I feel like I'm gonna wear a Nike Tech Fleece sweatpant with the 17s?
Wow.
I really might.
Wow.
Not a full.
You know how
Not a
muggy
full
it is
Central
out today?
C. Not a full Central C, but I feel like Tech Fleece sweatpants would look good with the Lightning's white tee.
Yeah, it's not
Maybe?
really Tech Fleece weather, but I support you in your journey.
The Lightning's also, I'll put this in my blurb that's coming, dusting off the pen. Careful. Careful.
He's pointing
He
at
said
Matt
he's
Welty
dusting off
saying,
the pen, and I
"Careful."
was like, "Does it have any ink in it?"
Yeah, it does. You saw the Sopranos blurb a year and a half ago. Okay? Listen, though.
We're listening.
Here's a pro
The
tip.
whole world is listening.
Here's a pro tip.
Mm.
Leave the blue peel
Yep.
sticker on.
Yeah.
Sets it off. Sets the shoe
Leave
off.
it on to set it off.
Exactly. Really a shoe in recent time that's full nostalgia. And I posted it on Twitter, X, and people were saying the nostalgia is not enough for me to pay $300, which I totally get.
Yeah.
I
It's a
know
lot of money.
the Bronsons release. They came when they went. It looked like the demand outweighed the supply on them greatly.
Got
As
some
is
comments
often the
about
case.
that.
Yeah, people were mad.
People in the YouTube comments from last episode were like, you guys got to talk about the Bronson release. Did you get any insight?
Yeah, I did talk to somebody from his team. And look, we'll go ahead and say we're spoiled on some of these releases, on many of these releases, because we have the access and we're
course.
not there on the website trying to buy the shoes like y'all. So we understand if there's a disconnect here. But at the same time, the access does mean that we can talk to the people behind the scenes who are, of course, biased because they work with Action Bronson, but helping to put these things together and try and figure out what happened. I did talk to somebody from his team who said basically there's a lot of happy people who got their shoes, but there's way more angry people who didn't get their shoes, and this often happens with a limited release. This person told me that the protection measures against bots were significantly stronger this time than they have been before.
Hired the Balvin team or no?
I don't know about that, but basically that no matter what in these situations, you can't prevent the outcome of thousands of people being upset because they didn't get the shoes. We have a coworker here at the office who he was talking to me before they dropped. Shout out to Jemiah, and he was asking, "Man, am I going to be able to get these? Be honest with me." And I was like, "I don't think it'll be that bad." And I saw
Set my boy up for failure. Got my
Saw him
boys'
a
hopes
couple-
up.
saw him a
Last
couple
time
days
that
later,
you
he
get
said it
a
was
Trojan antivirus removed from your computer.
He
Okay.
said, "Man, a couple minutes and they were cooked." So we do feel for y'all, anybody who wasn't able to get the Bronson Baklava 1906R Rosewater.
Do we think these were the most sought after, or basically in line with the other ones he released a
Of
couple
all
years
the
ago?
New Balances he's done so
Yeah.
far?
I don't know. I feel like the 990 V6 was like huge, but you do see like with subsequent releases, it's just like the hype train starts to build where
Yeah.
it's like maybe people weren't as I feel like people really weren't as on board with that first shoe. Just not that it didn't age well, but like when it first came out, it was just so jarring to the public and
Sure.
people like maybe
Bold shoe,
yeah,
lurid shoe.
weren't as into it as much. Second pair was a lot more user friendly, as a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It feels like the hype was maybe bigger on that one because you're gaining more people as the train keeps going around the station. You know, more people keep on hopping on.
I love this metaphor. How long is this going to go?
I don't know, but no, now it's like 1906, and the shoe's almost been teased for like a year. It feels like at
Yeah.
this point,
Building up steam, not
Yeah.
in like a steam engine.
Yep, and then this time around, it was just like it maybe felt like
Went off the rails.
yeah.
You.
What?
He sets it up. He peels the layers back and he sets it up. He sets the jokes up. Another New Balance
All
this
aboard.
week.
ALD 1000s.
Yes,
These are
all
nice.
black.
Big JLP shoe.
All black. The
ALD
biggest.
times JLP.
It's in my DNA.
New Balance 1000s are in your DNA?
No, that's a big JLP shoe.
The black one.
Yes.
I like the other two ones.
Shoe DNA.
Okay. I don't have a lot to say about these. They just look nice to me and I want a pair.
1000s. Did it again. 1000s. Hey, we're going to bring back this model.
Mhm.
Oh, what is this model? Oh, I like this model. Give me every pair that releases. Who else
Sound
is
like
doing
DJ Khaled right
what,
now.
what other brand is doing it? What other brand is doing it?
Nike.
I don't think so. Do you think they are? Bring archival and the hit rate.
Asics.
is like Juan Soto.
I don't know who that is. Baseball player?
Yes,
Or did you say Han Solo?
Juan Soto.
Oh, excuse me. Did y'all see Balenciaga Under Armour? Did it make you feel anything?
I didn't see it.
No.
I saw the news.
Well, I saw it, but it didn't like.
It didn't make you feel anything?
We first saw it being teased, right? And then there was like an earring or something to that. There was like an accessory.
That was one of the first things, yeah.
Yeah, and then we saw some of the clothing. There's like a $1,400 hoodie.
There's a zip-up hoodie that costs $1,450 for a Balenciaga Under Armour.
I saw the
zip-up
shoes. There's a like stripped down triple S looking shoe. It has like the same shape, but the sole's not as thick.
Yeah.
And then there's like a sock shoe. Neither of them are good shoes. I don't know.
The least Matt Welty collaboration of all time.
Yeah.
Literally the least.
Yeah.
The least.
I actually don't hate this for Under Armour because it's not like they have anything else going on. So sure, why don't you do
Get
some
their name and get their name
goofy fashion collab that's a total meme just to have people talking about you because nobody's talking
Would you
about
wear it?
Under Armour otherwise. No, I would not wear it.
If the
Maybe
shoes just happen-
somebody from Baltimore could set me straight and teach me how to do this thing.
If
But
the shoes just showed up on your desk,
No.
would you give them a spin?
no, you know what? Actually, I do hate it because I hate the shoes. The shoes to me are really bad and look like the most generic. If you go on Amazon.com looking for like
Shoes that say fashion.
sneaker,
Yeah, yep.
and it's like a chunky random outsole with a knit upper. I do kind of appreciate the apparel because it's just meme core.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense and it's absurd. But the shoes to me are outwardly bad. The apparel is forgivable, even though I'm not paying $150 for a pair of Under Armour socks or for any socks for that matter. But the apparel's a little bit more funny to me. The shoes are just unforgivable.
What else? Another Yeezy viral moment?
Yeah, I mean, look, we know Yeezys are petering out. I think a lot of us who are forced to talk about them every week are happy to see them fade off into the sunset, ride off into the sunset, fade into the dark night, whatever. Go quietly, hopefully. I know Adidas is hoping for that. There were Yeezys at an outlet in Dubai for 50% off. This guy, Steven Smith, posted them. No, not that Steven Smith.
It's funny.
Another guy named Steven. Not that
How
sneaker designer,
ironic.
Steven Smith, but a random white dude who we know in Dubai named Steven Smith. He saw some pairs in an outlet. And these are not good Yeezy models. This is like the 450, the 350 V2 Compact, the 380. So definitely not the best Yeezy silhouettes, but this is further evidence that Adidas just wants to get rid of these things, not have anybody really talking about them, drop them on a holiday, don't release it beforehand with a press release, don't give anybody a heads up, just
Try to
let go
liquidate
of
the
them.
stock. Yeah.
There's a lot of backdoor dealings and things going on and people bickering over who's going to get the stock. And I don't know if any of that will ever come to light, but this actually is satisfying to me on some level because it makes a little bit of sense in that Adidas keeps saying they're not going to make profit off the shoes. And if they're dropping them at outlets for reduced prices, maybe that does actually reflect like, oh, we're not making money off these things. But still, I mean, everything about the Yeezy line has been unpredictable for the past 3 years. But did we ever think we were going to see them at outlets for 50% off? It's an absurd headline.
I don't think so. The other thing is, imagine like being a kid who wants a pair of Yeezys and like you go to the outlets and you see like Yeezys are there. I bet kids are excited about it.
What shoe do we think has replaced Yeezys?
In general?
Yeah.
I don't really think anything has.
Not, maybe it's not to
Mass?
that, but like I'm saying, hey, the consumer that was strictly wearing 350s at one point, what have they moved
Here's
on?
what I would
What
say.
have they moved on to?
If you look at like any casual weekend photos, you know, out at the barbecue, out at the game, and it's a group of people
Cooking up.
and where you would see a Yeezy 350, you know what shoe people are still wearing? Take a guess.
Dunks?
Panda Dunks?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's to
I
me.
actually,
to me,
I think you're right.
To me, that's it.
I think
every
you're right.
every weekend, I still see like, you know, Memorial Day weekend. It's a group of people. You look, group of 5, 1 or 2 of them have Panda Dunks on.
It's funny because style-wise, those shoes, those designs have nothing to do with each other.
Right.
Opposite ends of the spectrum. But I do think you're right.
That's it's what I see. Like it's just
The
like
train every morning,
yeah, 100%.
walking down the street, you might see 4 young ladies all with Panda Dunks on.
And one day, and if we haven't already, we'll talk about the 350 and like what it did. I just remember the 350 people who like the second or third or fourth wave of the 350s. How long do you think they went on for years? 5?
Yeah.
Okay, 5 years maybe. People
Of them being hot.
Yes, but people were getting their first pair 5 years later.
Yes.
And they were acting, and the feeling was
excited.
like when the Pirate Blacks came out for the first time. That's how big it was.
Yeah, badge of honor.
Again, this isn't breaking news, but like what that shoe did, wow.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people probably listening to this right now, or even a lot of people talking like they're authorities on the sneaker internet, they probably got into shoes around the time of the Adidas Yeezy 350 boost, maybe even the V2. Nothing wrong with that.
We're just old, man.
Did you guys see this Hyper Ice shoe that LeBron posted?
I saw that.
Did that move you at all?
I'm more excited that shout out to the good friends at Hyper Ice / GoRuck that sent the
You're more excited that you got a free Hyper Ice than Nike doing a Hyper Ice shoe.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Well, we can move on.
Yeah.
That's also, again, let me know if I'm saying this too much, but that feels like exactly the type of shoe Welty doesn't like, of Nike jamming a bunch of tech into a sneaker. When,
I mean, I could see how it would work to some extent, but also like nothing better than like working out and then throwing on a pair of the Merrell Hydro Mocs and just chilling out in them, and does kind of the same.
Rather than throwing on a shoe that might have a built-in motor to massage your feet.
Yep.
Also, thanks to everyone who reached out about the plantar
fasciitis.
Thank you. And thank you for, yes, there was a lot of people in my DMs giving tips. There was. I appreciate it.
How's your foot health? Are you feeling any better?
A little better.
Okay.
A little better.
One asterisk I want to add to last week's episode, we had this conversation about Pro B versus SB dunks. This is super sneaker nerdy. Do you mind? Will you indulge me for a second? You were checking the Rolex. Can I have 1 second on that thing?
I'll decide after you say it, but go ahead.
Okay, so one follower, his name's with4. He messaged me about a slight change that looks like it might be reflective of what's going on with Pro B versus SB dunks. Go back to the last episode to recap that conversation. But basically, some recent SB dunks, like the Futura SB dunk, they have, I'm referring to my notes here, sorry, because it's very complicated, a tip that dives under the eye stay, where...
You lost us on this.
Look, you won't allow me to be a sneaker nerd on the complex sneakers show. We can't talk about these details.
The second when you said a tip underneath the eye stay,
an underlay,
you lost me on this one.
Well, I can't be a sneaker nerd here. Is this not a safe space?
It is. Go ahead. But wow. Okay. No, go. We're just kidding.
So, based on some looking around and what this person in my DMs was saying, the older SB dunks generally had a tip that went under the eye stay, an underlay there. And the more recent ones, I think starting around 2010, Welty's grinning here, have an overlay there where the tip goes over the eye stay. But the Futura SB dunk, for what?
I literally, you can keep on explaining this, and I just literally have no clue what you're saying.
Look, what I'm saying is we talked about something and I did some research. And
I appreciate it. But maybe and also I have to admit I'm much more of like a visual learner.
Okay.
So like
we'll put the images in the episode.
You saying this to me, you're just saying all these words and I just have no clue what you're saying.
I wish I had a dunk right here, but.
Me too.
It goes under the eye stay.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Versus over, right? And like the Futura SB dunk, it's going under the eye stay, which is like the old pairs. And the Pro B dunk sample that we've seen from 2025 that's coming up, it goes under, which is kind of like the older stuff.
Damn, makes the shoe completely different.
Wow.
We're here to nerd out over the details, are we not? Also, we were talking about whether or not they were going to retro the old colorways. One thing about SB is they never really straight retro. They like to keep stuff sacred, right? And they'll change the heights on stuff like that. So, bumping my mic, I'm getting so excited here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for allowing me that space.
Yeah, let's wash away that sneaker nerd. No, that nerdy stuff. But let's get to the shoes that we're wearing.
Okay. Welty, what do you
go
got?
first?
Okay, fine. I am wearing a Nike Air Max 95 Neon OG colorway.
What year?
This is, I don't know. Should I pull my shoes off and see what year they are? Crispy white socks, just in case anybody was wondering. 2015. This is. I'm excited for the retro of the Air Max 95 Neon.
That was that whole the run of it that year where they did like I think they did all reflective pair. They did the patch pair.
Okay.
Yeah.
These are coming out again next year.
Yeah,
we told you this
shoes.
like a year ago, but the leaks are getting so early. It's almost 2-year lead time. But a big bubble Air Max 95 next year, 30th anniversary for the Air Max 95, I will
I'm old.
I will be buying an express first class ticket on that train. You know, choo choo.
First class train ticket. He's taking an Amtrak.
You got them?
Cortez, the blue colorway. What?
Mediterranean?
No, what?
Aegean Sea.
Aegean Storm. Am I pronouncing it right?
Aegean.
I struggle with it. But
he's a Mediterranean man.
yeah, I brought these out. I wear obviously the black and pink ones a lot. I brought those to Korea.
Yeah, fitting. Hey, was that a little bar? It was on accident.
No, but we need them.
It was on
We
accident.
need black pink. But yeah, Air Max 95, foreshadowing of the topic we may get to today. We did Air Max 95s.
Didn't get the memo?
No,
Well, there wasn't
even
a
if he
memo,
got the
but-
memo, I feel like he would have got the memo, threw it in
Crumpled
the garbage.
it.
Exactly.
No.
And lit it on fire.
Promptly crumpled
Always
the memo
the
up in his hands.
contrarian.
Nope, not being contrarian. Shout out a friend of the show, Nicole McLaughlin.
Yes.
Yep.
Go watch her episode.
Mhm.
This is the second colorway of her Hoka collaboration coming out
Nice.
the 14th.
Nice. What's the model?
Sorry, it's a 3-2. I totally.
So you're mad at me for being a sneaker nerd about the details, but you don't even
Flipped
know
it
the
on 'em.
model name of your shoe you're wearing?
Flipped it on him.
Okay.
It's totally fine.
Flipped it on him.
Okay.
It's like 3-2 Mafati,
Okay.
something
Okay.
like that.
Next time you'll pay attention to the, what was it? The stay under the tongue.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
you
Okay.
have
Here,
some
here.
Air Max
Can I
95?
talk more Nike SB? Maybe this will make y'all happy. I'm going to break some news for you. Okay.
Let's hear.
I'm getting some whispers that there's going to be an SB version of the Nike Air Max 95 next year. We know Nike is going to be celebrating the Air Max
A
95.
skatable version.
Yeah, this is, I'm told, akin to what they've done with the Jordan 4.
Whoa.
Where they will be upgrading the tech or updating a little
will there
bit
be a
to
bubble on it?
more skatable. As far as I know, there will be a bubble. I haven't seen the shoe. I would be really upset if they called it an Air Max 95 or they tried to sell us an Air Max 95 without a bubble.
Well, they've
hope.
done like the Roger Federer Zoom Vapor tours, that
You're right.
Air Max 95 S colorway. As everyone knows, or not everyone knows, you should know, likely that shoe being SB is influenced by the iconic. Yes, using the word iconic because it truly is iconic.
We're 33 minutes in here. We
Yes.
haven't used it once, so go for it.
Photo of Stevie Williams in Love Park doing a switch heel flip, I believe, in a pair of Air Max 95s. Also, go watch the Stevie Williams. Or no, go watch.
Listen.
Go listen to the
Yeah.
episode.
So
wasn't on YouTube,
we
so.
think that next year,
Yeah.
you know what that means? They're wear testing it right now. We
Could be.
think?
If they
Could
don't
be.
have
Austin?
if they don't have Stevie Williams in the ad campaign or the rollout, because Stevie Williams has been strictly wearing Nike. You've been
Yeah.
seeing him doing like Kozak squats in the gym in Air Max 90s. That's a big miss.
Do we think it's going to be a neon skatable? Can you imagine a neon skatable?
I'm not going to pretend like I know a lot about the shoe. I haven't seen it, but I would hope so. I would hope you would start with neon. And again, I think this will be along the lines of SB's Air Jordan 4, where you can't see too much of differences and it looks relatively like an Air Max 95 that we know and love.
I feel like the shoe is going, and this is just me guessing.
Yeah.
The shoe's going to be completely different.
Okay.
Really?
Because the midsole on that, with like the way the arch goes up, isn't really conducive to skateboarding, and I
Okay.
file like it's gonna be a flat sole on the shoe.
All right.
Wow, we'll be watching that.
That
one.
would be my guess.
Either way, you're saying if Stevie Williams is not involved, you won't be involved.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. You put it out there. Transitioning.
Yes.
Last week we did best Air Jordan of all time.
Yeah.
A lot of discussion on YouTube, a lot on social.
Some people were mad. Did we sell the
I
Air
didn't- I
Jordan
wouldn't-
5 short?
I wouldn't. The
No.
what?
Air Jordan 5?
That was the big one.
I still
I'm an
think
Air Jordan 5 lover.
Air Jordan 6 is still better.
That's
than
what
Air
I
Jordan
think.
5.
That's what I think. But
Here you are selling
Anyway.
it short.
caused a lot of discussion, and we were like, what's the next one that we should do?
Mm-hmm. We're talking Air Max.
Air Maxes. Air Maxes. And let's start this segment off just like we started the Air Jordan segment off. In unison, on the count of three, the best
Oh.
Air Max personal.
Can I have like 1 second to think, or it just has to be the first?
No,
We
no.
just have to go for
Ready?
it.
In unison. One,
Wait. You said the best
Air Max.
personal?
Personal.
Or the best of all time?
What?
Like, you know,
silhouette.
I know, but like the one that we like the most, or the one that we think is the best.
The one that we like the most. That go under the lace
the one that
loops.
we like the most. Our personal favorite in unison. 1, 2, 3.
Air Max 95.
Wait, what?
You said Air Max 1. I said Air Max 95. You said Air Max 95.
Okay. And I like this because Complex did a list how many years ago?
I don't know. 4 years ago, I think it was mid-pandemic.
Okay, 4 years ago. And I was thinking to myself, looking at that list.
Mm-hmm. The Air Max Power Rankings.
Air Max.
I mean,
Power
you know,
Rankings.
Joe La Puma in his free time just goes and looks at Air Max 95s on the internet. So
yes, but
Not going to deny it.
but the biggest thing that I was looking at last night when I was revisiting that list, we had the Air Max 95 number 2.
Yeah.
What I thought to myself is, in the past 4 or 5 years since that list came out, has the Air Max 95 jumped to number 1? For me, do we even have to? Of course it did.
Your favorite is the Air Max 95. We know that for sure.
Just going back to the New Balance 1000s, you know why I feel like I like them? They remind me of an Air Max 95 a little bit.
People say they look like 97s, but
I feel like
it's
the
right
body, though, is 95 a little bit.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. I can go either way, and I totally see why you said Air Max 1, and I'm just saying Air Max 95 because that's my personal favorite.
Was it always?
No. There was definitely a period where the Air Max 1 was my favorite. I feel like the Air Max 1 is a much more it's obviously it's the first. It has all the history, the white and red colorway,
foundational,
iconic. Said it again, but truly iconic when it comes to shoes. It has the collaboration history.
Yes.
Amsterdam Air Max 1s, one of the greatest Air Maxes of all time. Pada, the denim Air Max 1s.
Pada Para, Cherrywood.
Yeah, some of the greatest Air Max sneakers of all time. So I see where you're saying that. I feel like Air Max 1s are such a more casual shoe. The design language is much more simple on it.
Yeah.
It has that big puffy tongue. You can loosen the laces a lot more and just wear it with, I feel like, with pants a little better. Air Max 95s, I feel like when it comes to I don't want to say it's a if you know model, but
not at all.
It's a little more daring to wear.
Yes.
The design language is a little more brash and abrupt. It's not as casual of a model on your feet. You're not just wearing it. You can wear it with jeans, but
bulky.
It's something about the way the tongue sits, and then with the way that the tongue is tied in, that it leads itself much more to be being worn with track or sweatpants than jeans. So I can see why. I just feel like the shoes are they're like alien to each other, even though they're both Air Maxes.
Yeah.
They're just on totally different sides of the design spectrum. So it's really hard to compare the two.
Air Max 95 is such an interesting one too, because you think Air Max, you think Tinker Hatfield, just as you do with Air Jordans. We talked so much about Air Jordans last weekend.
But Sergio Lozano.
Exactly. Yes. All the best Air Jordans are designed by Tinker Hatfield. But the Air Maxes, he steps away from the Air Max line mid-90s, and you get all these incredible Air Maxes that come after Tinker Hatfield's tenure in the line, which is not something you can say for Air Jordans in the same way. So Air Max 95 is so interesting too, because Tinker didn't do it. Or Air Max 97, Christian Trescher.
Yep.
And Sean McDowell, Air Max Pluses.
And also this shoe, whereas the original Air Max run, they were all like running shoes. This shoe was made much more to celebrate like the culture of running, which I guess at that point kind of meant it was a lifestyle shoe, but not.
I mean, there's a quote from Tinker
Hatfield. They didn't
Hatfield.
want to say that it was like not a running shoe, because they're always tech first, but it was a Air Max running shoe that maybe leaned more towards street style.
Tinker Hatfield said years ago the upper wasn't really for a running shoe. That was his interpretation.
And the shoe itself, the design history behind it is it's made to represent the human body, the laces. I mean, well, the lace loops are the ribs. There's the muscle fibers. There's the spine that goes through the midsole. The original shoes had the PSI rating on the airbags, 25 PSI in the heel, 5 PSI in the forefoot.
4-foot air for the first time. You didn't have any Air Max sneakers before that showed air up front like that. The multiple bags, just so beautiful, so striking visually.
Do we think, we're talking about Air Max 95, Air Max 1, do we think the Air Max 90 is the clear next one in that group? Or do you think some people...
Here's what I'll always say. I will say that you can argue Air Max 1 versus Air Max 95 till you're blue in the face.
And we certainly will.
Yeah.
Right?
Blue in the face because you ran out of
air. But I think there's no argument that the Air Max 90 is the most mainstream Air Max of all time.
I don't know about that.
Once upon a time, I would have agreed with you, but I kind of feel like the Air Max 90 is at a low point right now.
Well,
and I don't see a lot of Air Max 90s, and nobody really
Excuse
cares
me,
about Air Max
have you
90s
ever heard
that
of a
much.
model called the 270?
I would say, no, but I would say throughout the history of retro Air Max,
Like that infrared one was the biggest one?
no, just in general. Like
You just feel like Nike sold more retro Air Max
yes,
90s.
Air
than
Max
any other
90s
Air
were-
Max model.
Air Max 95s, for the longest time, they would only come back when there was something special. Or maybe there was like the foot action exclusives, like back in the day that there were like there was like the Rasta colorway, the plasticky looking ones. And then Air Max 1s for the longest time weren't even available. You know, they took those off the shelf for
Something more special.
for years. And the Air Max 90 was for like over a decade, that always on
the mainstay.
Nike Air Max shoe, where if you were to look for an Air Max model besides like the LTD, etc., you went into a Foot Locker, you went into a Champ
90.
Sport, there was 10 different colorways of the Air Max 90.
Do you guys think, though, a lot of people have Air Max 90 as number one on their list? And do you think... I don't
think that many people right now have Air Max 90.
But
do you think they have it... Do you think if you're looking at the 90 versus the 1, do you think they have it's split or no?
Well, here's the crazy part is that we can argue Air Max 1 versus Air Max 95, right? And then I feel like with Air Max, you have collaborations, but a lot of this comes down to OG colorways because color is such an important part of Air Max. So you're like, in your head, I feel like when we argue these Air Maxes, we can argue Cortez and we can argue Stash and all those, but it really comes down to like Neon 95s versus white and red Air Max 1s.
I'm glad you brought this up.
But what I'm going to say is that it's hard for me because when it comes down to OG colorways, it's really hard to beat infrared 90s because that's one of the greatest Nike sneakers of all time.
And that's a good point because last week there was multiple OG colorways. I feel like
Air Maxes, you really have to talk about one per.
Exactly. That's
White,
why
red for
that's
the
the difference
ones.
between a little bit of a difference between last week's conversation.
Yeah.
We started last week's conversation as the OG colorways versus OG colorways. You're right.
I think we should just stay with that because if we start getting way too much in the weeds of like all the collaborations on the model.
But here's the thing. If we get into that, I'm saying this just not doing that much research. Just if we're doing collaborations, the 95 bodies everything.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Wait.
That's, so, okay.
Hold on.
I'm glad we're having this conversation. It's the Air Max 1. If you're adding in collaborations, and
Kid
when
Robot
I was
Air Max
thinking about
1s?
this, Air Max 1 versus Air
Stash.
Max 95. If
Stash
you're
is
only talking
great.
about the OGs, fine. But when you bring in the collaborations, Air Max 1 has more history and better collabs than any other Air Max
Kid
model.
Robot,
Para,
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
Atmos,
You're right.
Biotech, Jade, Beast Stuff. So many awesome ones. Air Max 90, not a lot,
95 has a bunch
Cause.
though, right?
95 has good ones. They also did the Atmos Biotech thing on there. Stash,
Stash.
of course,
Who
is
else?
one of the best ever. The
Mita?
Running Man ones.
Yep.
I love the Mita, but the Mita is just a flip on the OG, so you can't give it a ton of credit. When you factor in the retro
Air Max
history,
1 collaborations are like the most sought after
Yes.
Air
Okay.
Max collaborations of all
Okay.
time. But we're talking about OG colorways,
Yes,
right?
yes.
is that the criteria officially?
Let's just keep it at that because I feel like that's the true judge of the shoe.
Okay, because I will say, just before we totally throw that out, if you think about all the versions of these shoes, I feel like there are more good Air Max 1s or more great Air Max 1s than there are great Air Max 95s.
Well, it's so much easier
Disagree?
to do an Air Max
Yes.
1 because the shoe is so simple. And obviously there's so much more to do on an Air Max 95, but it also leads itself
CDG Air Max 95s?
That's your shoe, but that's not.
We're talking about the greatest Air Maxes of all time.
let's-
These are
but let's-
CDG Air Max
Let's not get
95s.
into
What
the
about
weeds
these?
of hold on.
Sorry.
Supreme. I like those.
Let's not get into the weeds of
Yeah, go ahead.
collaborations and everything. I feel like collaborations can only be used as like a tiebreaker.
I agree.
et cetera.
Throw those out.
We need to get to the heart of the conversation and just talk about
Go
OG
for it.
colorways and how good the original shoe is. So you have Air Max 1s versus Air Max 95s. I feel like we can debate that ever.
White and red. Yeah, white and red.
Air Max infrared Air Max 90s come after that, and then after that you have silver or gold Air Max 97.
Silver's a true OG. Gold
Yes.
didn't come out until a little bit later. We have to put silver. Are we sure that silver 97s don't edge out? I'm just saying. Do silver 97s edge out infrared Air Max 90s? And this is a very current take on things.
Because it's a great shoe.
Yes.
Here's the reason why. This is maybe a personal opinion, but I think a lot of people agree with this.
Yeah.
Air Max 90s feel 1,000% better on your feet than Air Max 97s ever will.
They also feel better than 95s.
97s feel like they're choking.
Retro even 95s don't even feel that
good.
There's
something about the tongue in like the netting around it. It like itches your foot.
Up
the
on
97s always feel tight to me.
But Air Max 90s, they have that big cushy tongue on them. You can lace them loose.
Time out. Neon Air Max 95 versus infrared 90. What are you picking?
Here's what I'll say. I think in my mind,
you can't pick.
Hold on. No, in my mind, I will say that I think Neon 95s are a better shoe, even though it's funny because back in the day, non-sneaker people, when I used to wear 95s, used to call them Skechers.
Kept the receipts.
Who said that?
A bunch of people, just because that one Skechers shoe, the D-Light has.
Skechers has a similar look.
Bro, who said that?
A lot of people.
Wow. In New Hampshire or Jersey?
In Massachusetts.
Okay. Neither.
If I have those two shoes by the door, though.
Which two shoes? Infrared 90s.
In Neon 95s, I guarantee you I'm going infrared 90s more times than not to put on my foot. That shoe just feels amazing on foot. And every time you wear it, you forget how awesome it is.
Yes.
What about you?
If I have those two shoes by the door?
Yeah.
Well, this is a total recency bias because I've been wearing 95s
I have so much recency bias.
A lot in the past couple of years, and so I would go for the infrared 90s just because I've owned 3 or 4 pairs of those over the years, and I haven't had a chance to wear them for a long time. I don't know if I still own any of them. One of them got lost in the mail, and I had to fight with USPS for a year over getting some compensation, and I don't know where my other pairs are. So I feel more nostalgic about the infrared 90s in this exact moment.
For us, it's like if we're talking like the tiers, it's like the S tier of Air Maxes are Air Max 1, Air Max 95, Air Max 90, Air Max 97.
Can we put the Air Max Plus in there?
That's what I was going to ask.
Can we put the TNs in there?
The Air Max Plus.
That's the one that's on.
That's S tier for me.
That's on.
Yeah, is that too many in the S tier?
But
How many is that?
I will
That's
say
6?
though,
that's 5.
I will say that out of all those though, that's the one that it's interesting because to some people that's the greatest Air Max of all time, but then to the maybe general audience, it's like on the edge of maybe being a little bit of a niche shoe.
Yes.
That's your favorite still?
My favorite Air Max model, the TN? No, I've loved the Air Max 1 for longer.
Okay.
So I'll say Air Max 1. I love TN. So, and that's another recency thing where in the past year I've been on this TN kick. Y'all have heard me talk about it a lot.
I just feel like
about them a lot on here.
It is such a piece of Air Max lore and culture.
It has such a unique history to the Foot Locker exclusivity.
But I feel like my issue with it is
TN.
Yes, and I'm not saying that it's not a great shoe. It's just that when it comes to Air Maxes, have always slanted more towards like European, worldwide, Japan, Australian bias. Obviously, in US they're popular as well, but the culture itself isn't like as prevalent. In the United States. But I feel like out of all the other models, the TN's the one that has, when it comes to like maybe the US bias, the TN doesn't connect as much as like.
I know what you mean.
It doesn't have that same allure as it does overseas.
The same cultural weight as it might in the UK, in Australia.
And to us, because we all know that, it's awesome. But just to the average consumer, I don't think that the TN...
it's just a Foot Locker shoe.
Yeah.
Nothing that special about it.
So those 5 in the S tier for sure.
I think it's those 4.
Oh, we can't put too many in the top tier.
So 4.
One,
the Air Max...
Would I be insane to suggest TNs over 90s?
Yes.
Yes.
In the S tier?
I love the TNs.
S tier Air Max 1, Air Max 95, Air Max 90, Air Max 97 in no particular order.
Infrared
Those are the best
Air Max 90s are like one of the greatest Nike sneakers of all time.
Yeah, you can't replace that. But I also think you could put the TN in the S tier.
5 shoes in the S tier is a lot to me, though.
Okay, so then...
What's A tier?
I feel
What's
like...
right below that?
I feel like
Okay.
TNs for sure. If we didn't put them in S tier, they're at the tippy top of the A tier.
TNs are
180.
they're like captain of the junior varsity team. You
One,
know what I mean?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Like that.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if it's the tier below, it's
Yeah.
like the superstar of the second tier.
Thank
Okay.
you. A tier.
180.
Yeah. Here's the interesting thing. Before we get totally into the A tier, I think that the fall off is way bigger versus last
Correct.
week when we
Oh,
were
yeah.
talking about Air
Correct.
Jordans of the S tier
Correct.
to the A tier.
Correct.
The S tier of Air Maxes is just as good as the S tier of Air Jordans, but the A tier of Air Maxes is worse than the A tier of Air Jordans. And the shoes that you put in the A tier for Air Maxes don't feel nearly as special or, of course, historically significant because they lack Michael Jordan's impact,
Yeah.
but as the A tier of Air Jordans.
So here we
One
go.
of the best points from last week to this week is that right there.
Okay.
The fall off.
So you
for
have
sure.
180s,
Yep.
just came back. Also, officially not an Air Max.
Right? Nobody knows why. Shoe was originally just called a Nike Air 180, not the Air Max 180.
Air Max 93s.
Air Max.
We're not
Air
even
Max
that hyped about them.
BW.
Well, also not
We
a.
had the
not,
BW ranked right after the Air Max 180.
Not
here.
not a
Another one of those ones that weirdly
Air
named.
Classic BW.
Yeah.
So you got Air 180s, Air Max 93s, Air Classic.
In our official Air Max power
BWs.
ranking, we had the Air Burst up pretty high as well. Maybe that was a personal bias.
That one's tough, right? Because great shoe.
Yeah.
It's known for the literal burst size bubble on the back.
And of course, known for
Most infamous collaboration.
no
His shit.
it's
yours
known
falling
for
apart.
My pair.
Yes,
his
falling apart.
content
That's the most
rollout.
famous moment that shoe
Of
ever
course,
had.
his content rollout.
Most infamous collaboration on the shoe. Not infamous, sorry. Most famous, or you could maybe even infamous to some extent because of the person that's associated with it. But Eminem,
Yeah, Slim Shady Airburst.
to me, my favorite Eminem sneaker, just because I love Air Maxes more than I love Air Jordans.
Yeah.
But that's an awesome one.
Yeah. So what's the A tier again? Where are we?
A tier. Okay.
Air 180, sure.
TN.
TN is in the A tier. Let's
TN.
put 4 models in there. Air 180, TN,
Air Max 93,
Air Max 93.
BW.
Is there anything 21st century to put in there?
270.
The 270 is going to make it.
Vapor Max.
No.
I'm a Vapor Max supporter. I'm not saying it's a great shoe. It was a
Tune
big
Max.
shoe.
No. Great shoe, but
It's not the Air Max Deluxe.
and
there.
what do we feel about the Air Max 98? No.
That's a pretty good shoe.
Well, what about stuff like the Griffies?
Those are not Air Maxes.
Oh.
Tell us.
So I know there's a huge discussion when it comes down to Air Max Day, whether basketball and training shoes count as Air Maxes. I'm just going to say no.
If it's not a running sneaker, it's not an Air Max sneaker.
Yes.
In
And
the
I know
eyes of
that I know people are like,
purists
hey,
yourself.
Air Max is in the name.
It's a technology that exists across categories at Nike.
Yes, but when you're talking about Air Max shoes in the culture behind Air Max shoes,
Yeah.
you're specifically talking about Air Max running shoes.
I'm not mad at you.
Like if
You're
people
basically
wanna-
saying like technology versus shoes.
yeah, it's like it has the technology
Yeah.
in it by like an asterisk, but when you talk about like are you into Air Maxes, you're not asking someone if they're into Air Max LeBron 7s. Like
He's
Or
right. That's a
Griffies.
good point. I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
really
I know-
good context.
I know what you mean.
Or nuance, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Hold on though.
Okay. Do we have to reorder
Also, what's
things?
very funny is if anyone noticed, like last week, at the beginning, I said Jordan 3 was my favorite. By the end, it was Jordan 4. Him and I picked Air Max 95 as our favorite. Are you still sticking with the one?
Okay, look, it just depends on the criteria. If we are stripping away, as we decided we were, all the collaborations and things like that, I'll give it to Air Max 95. If we are including all the 21st century hype stuff and that history, then I have to give it to the Air Max 1 because I believe it's been more impactful. But strictly off originals, Air Max 95. And I'll present a similar argument as I did last week where, yes, the Air Max 1 is foundational, but the Air Max 95 evolved it and might be the perfected version of it. It might be
the 110, everything. 95 Air Max because I'm a dope runner.
kill you if you Joe's play.
But I feel like the thing is that Air Max 1 so important to Nike.
Yes.
Changed everything.
To
Yes.
sneaker history, to everything, right? But then when you get to Air Max 95, yeah, it was a lifestyle shoe, but this was one of the first Air Maxes that became a cultural thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you hear about in across the globe.
Yes.
You hear stories about London, Manchester,
collectors in Japan.
Yeah.
Atlanta. You know, it also has that United States history, which I feel like is so important to the model, because a lot of these shoes, maybe like you're saying, like the TN, it doesn't really have a US history, but this shoe actually has like a hip hop US history. So I don't know, it adds something to me.
Just like an early collector's shoe too. I feel like one of the first non-Air Jordan sneakers that people really collected and resold in Japan. You know, pairs floating around on the secondary market way over their original retail price.
Yep. I have another question.
What?
A lot of times you talk about, getting too old for Jordans.
Never too old for Air Maxes.
Interesting.
Okay, never too old for them.
Well,
these hold like age.
Here's what I'm gonna say, and maybe this is like I think we talked about this before. It's a hot take, but I feel like as you get older, as we all get older,
we are getting older.
You prioritize comfort over style. It just is what it is, right? Like some people may not agree. They're like, I never get too old to wear whatever I want to wear. Cool, great. The majority of people out there start to prioritize comfort over aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's just something about a pair of Air Max 1s, a pair of Air Max 95s, a pair of Air Max 90s that you can have them by the door and just slip your foot on it and go. If you have a pair of Air Jordan 12s and all leather shoe, I just can't picture myself like consciously saying that's going to be my daily driver.
I know what you mean, but also I'll say that if we're truly prioritizing comfort over aesthetic and over style, then there are shoes we should go to before we go to retro
for sure.
Air Maxes.
Look,
a lot of these things feel like bricks, let's be honest.
I totally get it, but I feel like you're moving more in that direction.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe that's where I feel like Air Max it's like almost like the gateway drug to some extent for a lot of collectors that really kind of opens up their palette. Because once you just get out of
the window,
all I'm wearing is Jordans and SB Dunks, then all of a sudden, hey, I'm starting to collect Air Maxes a little bit. And then once you start collecting Air Maxes a little bit, you start getting into running shoes a little bit. And then when you get into running shoes a little bit, next thing you know, you got a freaking pair of Hokas on your feet. And you're like, how did this happen?
What the heck did I start?
Yeah.
Exactly. You could wear these at any age.
There are so many
pop out at any age in those.
I agree to the extent that I am thinking now about Air Maxes, and as we're having this conversation, just reminiscing on all the colorways and versions that I've wanted over the years, and I still feel so nostalgic.
What's one that you never got?
I mean, anything Dave White, all the Dave White Air Maxes.
But those were similar to that.
Yeah, neon colorway. I mean, Dizzy Rascal tongue-in-cheek Air Max 90s. I'll go to that one every time. Or the Dirty Stank 180s. Mita Prototype 95s. Pata Para Cherry Woods.
What, Stash BWs?
Every Stash Air Max ever. What about the Jacquemus ones? Welty, did you see those?
The Air Max 1s coming out?
I actually am not as offended by those as I thought
I've always said I think it's cool, like cool shoe for a lot of women who are like not super into sneakers, but just want a cool fashion collaboration, and just like the Humaras, and you see it. But
I'm kind of interested in the silvery pair. Or did you see they have they were like, this is the first time we've done a square window. It was like it's a square window. Did you see this, Joe? No. It's a little
was
rectangle.
That last week?
One thing,
or there's a little tiny hole you could barely see the Air Max. Reminds me of like Kevin Mitnick in the Freedom Downtime DVD.
Getting back to original Air Maxes. I wish that Nike would do so. You guys remember? I think it's 2005. It's the History of Air collection.
Yeah, one of your favorites.
Yeah.
Nike dropped when they released every single flagship Air Max OG colorway. You released white, red Air Max 1s, infrared Air Max 90s, ultramarine 180s, white and cactus 93s, neon 95s, silver 97s, and then I think this was a weird one, but then they went white and red 2003s, which was like, why is that even in the discussion? And then it was supposed to be a culmination where they were celebrating the Air Max 360, which was the first time they had done three. And the Air Max 360 was a god awful shoe.
Remember all those?
Tell us why.
I think there was 2 pages in Complex of those.
Because if you had it, so they did a 360 air unit.
Yeah.
But the problem was that they had to keep it encapsulated with a plastic cage, and if you like wore it, it's like the shoe didn't like shift from side to side because the plastic kept it in form. But then they ended up Stephen Smith, Yeezy designer, New Balance designer, ended up designing the Air Max 2009, which was remember that era? Air Max 2009, Air Max 2010, Air Max 2011, Air Max 2012.
Those bubbles were big.
History of Air Pack releases in 6 months. You putting down the American Express? I'll have them all or no?
I would be excited. Would you be excited?
One of everything on the menu?
Yes.
Would you be excited if they dropped it like that again?
I'm thinking about.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool ways you could roll those out, but Nike will have to pay us for those ideas.
That'd be so tempting. And then
that's what you need for Air Max Day. None of this bogus.
And then they dropped it. I know they re-released
like
it, but then they did the Powerwall collection along with it. So they took every single one of those Air Max models and then released a handful of like limited edition colorways.
And then they dropped the Powerwalls again, and nobody cared.
Yeah, or they made a lot.
Lemonade Air Max ones.
They made a lot, and then you just saw people wearing them in the streets.
Yeah.
But then there's also a lot of the Air Max models in the early 90s that weren't like the flagship models.
Yeah.
That still I feel had like collector cool, like the Air Max 96. It took them forever to retro that shoe. Air Max 98 comes out in the Gundam colorway.
Yeah.
Air Max 96 was I think it was the Scream Green. It was the blue with the lime green.
Is there any love for the Air Max Light?
Air Max Light, awesome shoe. All those size exclusives back in the day.
Yes, the size JD Sports stuff. That was a fun time. Shout out to Paul Ruffles. That was the original Air Max 2, but it's just not that significant a shoe because it looks so similar to the original Air Max 1.
One of my other favorite Air Max shoes from that era, you got the Air Max Triax 96 that they released for the Atlanta Olympics, that white, red and blue with the gold colorway. There's the Air Structure Triax.
Yep.
That
you wore those a lot. Didn't you wear those
back
a lot?
in the day? Yeah, and then I tried to buy.
Are we calling this an Air Max?
It has an air bubble in the heel, and it's a running shoe.
That's enough for you.
But it's not. But the thing is
I love those. I bought the retro last time. I was hyped.
Here's why maybe it might not be an Air Max, because when you think about the word Air Max, you have to put a lot of meaning into the word Max, right? And it has to be the biggest.
You need a Max Ween.
It has to be the biggest Max.
I need a Max 1.
Yeah, it has to be. But it has to be the Max Air that's been in a shoe to that point. So the Structure Triax 1991, the Air 180 actually had more air, even though it wasn't Air Max. It had more air in it. So I guess it's not the Max.
Finally, we're on sneaker nerd timing.
Yeah.
40 minutes ago, you were berating me, and
not the
here
same.
we are.
Not the same,
Here
but
we
okay.
are.
Would you rather nerd out
happy
about
we've
air
arrived.
bubbles than eyelets?
I still don't know what he was talking about.
And hey,
that and the AI Paris thing, I'm still
another.
Don't make me take us back to Paris.
No, I actually learned about that. I had Marquez Brownlee. I learned about that. So baby steps.
And the one thing a lot of people don't know about people don't know about Air Max over the years is that we talk about big bubble with the Air Maxes. The Air Max units used to be so much bigger back in the day. It wasn't just your memory that they used to be bigger. They used to be so much bigger, but the reason why they look so much more inflated, for those who don't know watching, is that they were...
Oh, I thought it was a BBL thing.
Oh, no. They were actually filled with greenhouse gases.
Oh,
and then
now who's nerding out?
And then the shoes would leak, and then literal leaks.
Nice.
Like
there
the
we
bubble.
go.
And,
I got you. Yeah.
They would emit the greenhouse gases, so they had to make them smaller.
Wow, Bill Nye. Okay, before we get out of here, obscure Air Max that you always wanted that you never got.
A model or just a release, a colorway?
As specific as possible. Take 10 to 15 seconds. Never got something that you like that maybe not everyone likes.
I'll go back to this one again. I'll say Mita Air Max 95s, the subtle tweak that is made to look like the prototype version. I remember just posting those on X a few years ago and people being like, yeah, OG 95s, and me turning my nose up and saying, no.
Seinfeld wore them, right? RF brought
That's
Seinfeld.
Right. That's right. Ronnie Fike told me he has like the only 10s in existence, or the only DS10s that are out there, or something like that.
There was this random shoe. I know it got retroed as well, but there is a shoe called the Air Max ST, and it has like this bubble that like it comes out and it like blows up like in the middle portion of it. I always thought that shoe was awesome. I don't know, but that's
your pick.
Yeah, that's one of the ones for me. And I know we had done that Cult Classics thing recently, and I had picked out, it's not a running shoe, it's the Air Walker Max.
Yeah.
Nike actually had a history of walking shoes, which I guess was really big in the 80s. And they had an Air Max walking shoe that was quite popular.
Bring them back?
Yeah, I think there's a photo of Larry King reclined on a couch.
There we go. Joe? Homegrown? Air Max 90s?
Yeah.
And here we're trying to slander the Air Max 90.
No,
and then the one that
we're not. We're not slandering them, but yeah, just nostalgic purposes. And I feel like this shoe isn't talked about that much, right?
Agree.
It's obscure.
Agree.
But in turning, I came in with my clip-on tie to 23rd Street.
You did not have a clip-on tie.
Okay? A clip-on
He said
tie.
he did, yeah.
He had a clip-on tie?
No. I never had a clip-on tie. I
You had
came
a bow
in.
tie? Were
Not
you
a
wearing
bow tie.
suspenders?
Michael Kors sweater button-up set with the Creative Rec Cesarios. We know that.
Jail.
Yeah. Assault. We walked in. I walked in, and
yeah. Take us back.
You know, Bradley Carbone's
Right.
cubicle. The homegrowns just staring at me. And you know what they were saying?
Taunting you.
You ready for this? Are you ready? You're in a different. This isn't South Shore Mall. You're not in store 395. Homegrown Air Max 90 staring me in
Different
the
level,
face the
yeah.
first minute.
Yeah.
So
Far from home.
That was one of those shoes that you say obscure, but if you were into streetwear and Nike talk back in that era, that was a shoe that you were kind of familiar with
For sure.
at the time. So just a recap for everyone out there.
get it clean.
S tier, Air Max 1s, Air Max 95s, Air Max 90s, Air Max 97s. A tier, Air Max Plus, Air 180, Air Max 93. And are we saying Air BW is the fourth?
We don't need 4 in every tier. We could leave it at 3. Is BW A tier? We'll call BW A tier.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Final.
and maybe
Brendan.
one of the big takeaways is there are not as many great Air Maxes as there are great Air
Correct.
Jordans.
Yes. And also we talk about OG colorways. The Persian Violet,
Yeah.
BW, great shoe.
Beautiful shoe. I bought the last retro. I'll buy the next one.
An hour ago.
Are we gonna do the tier below it?
No, an hour ago. Air Max 95, best of all time and favorite. Staying
I
there.
still
Is this
say
how
it.
these are always going to go? Me switching by the edit?
No,
Did
but
you
no, but
switch?
Given our criteria,
switched last week.
I'll go Air Max 95.
Okay, Air Max 95. We put it out there. Let's see what
But,
you
but also, like last week, the list we have on the site doesn't reflect this. The list we have on the site calls the Air Max 1 the best of all
That's
time.
okay. That's okay. Another question. What shoe or set of shoes do you want us to do next?
Okay. Did we
Drop
do,
them in
did
the
we do
comments.
Best New Balances of all time?
No.
We have a list like that on the site. We got a list for
what
everything.
tier? Wait, what tier is 270? You know, there's people gonna be out there that are gonna get mad and say that 270 is like a tier shoe.
That's the beauty of this
And
thing.
you know what else? There are going to be people in 20 years who are going to remember the 270 as a classic because they were 12 years old when it came out. or
Vapor
something
Max
like
Plus.
that.
That's great.
Yes, Vapor Max Plus.
Love that.
Absolutely. The Air Max 270 is a C tier Air Max.
For now,
I'm
in
just
20
mad I
years,
couldn't-
there's going to be a young 3 people talking about the Air Max 270 like we talk about the Air Max 95.
Have us on as a guest.
Imagine
please.
we'll just come in,
The walkers.
Air Max is on feet.
You know?
Air Max 95's on feet.
drop in the comments what set of shoes you want us to tackle next. The definitive rankings. And we say definitive in terms of, this is our opinion, definitive with all the back and forth of the comments. And so it's not really definitive.
The
Open
totally
discussion.
objective.
Yes, open discussion. We want
Non-debatable,
everyone to
final
participate,
rankings.
agree, disagree. Yeah, just like community.
Yeah, hop on the train.
Exactly.
We could do the best Air Force One colorways of all time, and then have Clark Kent put us in a Boston Crab for getting it wrong.
Best air.
How about that list?
Maybe next week. We'll see. No, next week we have. Don't worry.
Yeah, we got to
about it.
guess. We got to guess.
Yes. All right, everyone. This has been the Complex Sneaker Show. We hope everyone has a great weekend. Again, let us know what you agree, disagree. Let's see your ranking. Drop them in the comments. Like, subscribe. Everyone have a great weekend. We will see you next week.